surviving the night shift. So for me, I was working graveyard during my third and fourth year of college, and I worked at a warehouse, at an Amazon warehouse. I would say it was probably one of the most, from what I remember, one of the most kind of joyful or interesting and at the same time painful experiences that I've ever had when it comes to being a part of the workforce. So I do want to start with the negatives first and then try to end the video in a positive note. The negatives was obviously the hours. It was from 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. so effectively 11 hours, and one of those hours was unpaid because of the 2 half 30-minute breaks that were mandatory. And we also had 45 in total 15-minute breaks, so 3 15-minute breaks throughout the entire shift because of California law or whatever. But what I'm trying to say is simple, is that whatever experience that whenever I had to work, I was guaranteed 45 minutes of pay to relax or the breaks, and also a full hour of just chilling because damn, it's quite a mess. So what did I do exactly when I was in warehousing? Was essentially, there are trucks that go into the building. You guide the conveyor belt to the truck, and then a person has to go in there and then just unload. So that's essentially what I did for the most part. There were carts full of boxes that I used to work for Amazon. There were trailers I used to come into full of carts, or just trailers just full of boxes, and that's it. You were paid obviously by the hour to unload trucks, and it's a pain in the butt, especially if you're not as athletic or you're not as strong as you should be when it comes to trying to work in this type of field. It wasn't bad, so to say. It was just, after a while, it gets annoying because you're doing the same thing over and over again. If the people are assholes, then that's even worse. If you don't have proper shoes, and after a while your feet start to hurt. I would say I still have feet pain when I walk for a prolonged period of time to this day because of my warehousing experience. I would say I did have good shoes, but after a while I started to not buy better shoes, and I just started using the shoes that I had, and that was my fault. I should have just bought new shoes retroactively speaking, but whatever, it's I made my own bed. I had to make do with what I had at the time. So not a good experience. A good experience is that you get a freaking workout. You're always walking around, you're always meeting a lot of people, and there's always that one person who's always cracked up. And if you know what I mean, then you know what I mean. But there's always that one person. It's like 2 a.m. It was like a couple hours before shift end, and there's always that person who always has the most random energy. I'm like, dude, where are you getting his energy from? And then I had a conversation with the coworkers at the time. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, this guy's on to something. But I'm like, dude, it's 2 a.m. Where the hell? And for the most part, in my experience, people were cool. Some were assholes, and it's always the leadership. It's always the managers and the L4s, 3s, and superiors, right? Who always walk around with a stick up their ass, and that's true anywhere. But the point I'm trying to say here is that the reason why I prefer graveyard shift over day and mid shift is because at night nobody's there to freaking annoy you. There's no tension that you feel when you walk across the warehouse because the leadership is just there, trying to I don't know, push around or move their own weight, trying to influence you because they have more positions of power. There's none of that. There's none of that at night. During the day, that's all you have. You have leadership in meetings. You have leadership walking around in groups. You have these people in different color uniforms with different color vests. It's just how it is. It's whack. You can't really talk shit when you're with the homies that you meet at work, just because these people are just there and they're just in the way. That's the best part about them. Some of them were cool. Most of them were assholes, but to the most part, they're in the way. You're just trying to work. You're just trying to talk shit with the homies. You're just trying to get the job done, and then some ass will come down the way and try to tell you otherwise. And that's the one thing that I didn't like about day shift. My schedule shifts were graveyard on the weekends, which was fine. Every now and then I picked up a shift on a random Monday or Wednesday, and shit was whack. And I wish I didn't do it a lot because I didn't like it. Whenever there's an extra shift to be had on a random day, but at night, I would take them because they were cool. I liked them. But yeah, so the good experiences was that you get a good workout. At night, it's pretty dope. You also get that preferential pay or whatever. The extra pay that you get, I think it was $1.50 or $1 an hour, if I remember correctly. The pay was a bit better. There were moments where the warehouse was dead, and so people were asked to voluntarily go home without being penalized. Others just stayed around just because why not? It's just free money up to that point. And now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I didn't have as much fun warehousing, but the fun moments were because of the coworkers that I had. Every now and then the conveyance blew up. Every now and then there was a failure. Every now and then somebody was complaining. Somebody of power was complaining about our productivity levels being low, about machine failing. And it wasn't really our fault. If the machine wants to take a fat ass dookie in the middle of the work, then what are we supposed to do about it? We're not gonna go out of the way to fix it. What the hell? There's always that notion where you have to keep in mind where it's just not your freaking job, and that's totally true. But when you're working at a blue collar job, then that's cool. You can just say that's not my job and be on your way. But when you're in corporate America, that's very different. You can still say it, but you have to say it in a certain way where you're not classified as not a team player, and that's pretty much bad, right? You get HR, you get flagged, and that's not good. That's not good. But yeah, I think when I was warehousing, the best part was being more active. It was a change of pace compared to my day-to-day, which was school and then a different kind of job that I had, which is different. During the day I studied. During the day I just had my pen and paper, going to classes, and then at night was when I get to release all of that energy, all of that frustration, all of that stress. I was able to pick up a box of 50 pounds max and just toss it to the conveyance, and that's pretty much it. Well, then again, like not most of the packages were overweight or oversized. Most of the packages were like 10, 15 pounds max, and the average, the more frequent weighted boxes were like 3, 4, 5 pounds. It's not a lot. Anybody can just pick up the random box and just toss on the conveyance. But the volume is the issue, right? Which is why these 10-hour shifts existed back in the day. Yeah. I would recommend a graveyard shift to those who want to work, just because I don't know, I liked it. Maybe you want to work out, maybe you go to the gym. It's a good way to exercise and walk around and get the steps in. If you're athletic, if you kind of have to do it because you don't have anything else going on, then yeah, it's still a pretty tough situation to be in. But if you're fragile, if you're not as strong, you can still do it. You can still develop some muscle to make the shift bearable. Just know that in the beginning you're gonna get murked. There was one homie I had. He was pretty big, no homo. But to my point, this guy was he was dying in the first shift. He was like not having it. He looked like he couldn't make it. And then at the end of my time there, this guy was skinny. This guy was putting in work. This guy was keeping up. And that's a transformation that only a few people have, given such discipline that only certain people can have. But the experience that I had and the transformation, quote unquote, that I experienced was just being stronger, or at least maintenance. At the very minimum was maintenance, in terms of keeping my body size, keeping my body muscle, etc. And I don't think that was a minimum case for me, because I know I came out there being a bit bigger in terms of fat and in terms of muscle too, because this was around the time where we had the lockdown. But Anyways, I'm going on a tangent. If you have to work warehouse, do it. It's not a bad gig, but at the same time, nowadays I don't see really good warehousing gigs that are night shift. I prefer night shift. I always liked it, but maybe you're different. Maybe you want a day shift. Just the only issue with day shifts is just dealing with leadership. All right then, fellas. Later.